Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever, whenever that you may be tuning in. This is Yonks, and very excited to be hanging out with the team from Unicorn.eth this morning. And we've been having conversations around setting up an account abstraction solution. And if you wanted to go ahead and do a quick introduction, Gardner, for yourself and everybody else here from the Unicorn team, over to you, sir.
Hey, I'm Gardner. I'm a co-founder of Unicorn. Been in the crypto world for over a decade now. Feels like a millennium. And we are building some tools that allow anyone to get involved on chain without even knowing what that word necessarily means. And we'll go through how some of that works as we go through here.
Hey,
Russell, I'll pass it over
Russell.
to you.
Oh, hey, I'm Russell. I'm also a co-founder of Unicorn.eth. I'm a board member on SporkDAO, was the chief of staff for ETH Denver last year, and I'm also the investment steward for Buffcorn Ventures. And really excited about what's happening with WeOwn and what Unicorn can do. Alex?
Thanks. I'm Alex. I head up product at Unicorn, and I've been working on wallets for the last 4 or 5 years, and equally excited to see what we can do with the investment clubs at WeOwn.
All right. Well, thank you for that. So, Alex had some questions here that he shared in the Zoom chat. So, what is a We Own investment club? So, one of the things that has been on my ambitions literally pretty early when I started going, and I'm newer, everybody else here is way more OG in the crypto space. I didn't start going down the crypto rabbit holes until April of 2021, but as a serial entrepreneur, quickly gravitated towards DAOs and saw the immense amount of opportunity around tokenizing real estate. And let's be honest, especially here in the United States, real estate has increasingly got out of reach for a lot of people, and the ideology around the American dream is waning. And that's one of the things that love the American dream. I am a product of the American dream. But let me go ahead and do a screen share here. This is our Google Docs that we have been collaborating on with We Own Pizza Club, and you can actually find this at pizza.weown.club. So redirects right here, and this is the subtab that we're on here for our conversation today. And one of the things I'll always talk about when I'm on a live stream are FELG, culture, fun, earning, learning, and giving. And going back to Alex's question here, as far as what is a We Own investment club, I really believe, I think that a lot of us can attest that the traditional education systems have largely been void from any financial literacy. And just one of the things that I would say is that there's probably more people globally that know how to invest in American markets, equity markets. We have unquestionably the most liquid equity markets globally. There's more people that know how to invest in American markets than there are people in America. And one of the things with the investment club is we really view this as a mechanism for helping get people out of the poverty trap. One of the things that I get concerned about as a flag waving patriot, history has already, whenever the wealth gap continues to widen, civil war erupts. We've already had a civil war here in the United States. I would hate to see that happen in the future, and I want to build towards shrinking the wealth gap. And investment clubs are one of the ways that I envision that to happen. And the reason that the investment club is important is the SEC has exemptions for how an investment club can operate. And we're a huge fan of doing business in Wyoming, not going to unpack all the reasons. And Wyoming, as do most states, have an unincorporated nonprofit association. We really view the investment club as a means for doing deal flow. You think about like buying a house in your local neighborhood. I would trust people that live in that neighborhood a lot more to make a decision saying, hey, this is a house to buy or this is one to avoid. Now, there needs to be a lot of other factors that go into that decision, but the opportunity to transition from the legacy rigged game with the MLS systems, and there's literally hundreds of MLS systems here in the United States, over to a peer-to-peer mechanism. So that's kind of the vision for an investment club. And one of the things that we've been doing around IFI or FYI, iLOCAL.fyi, is that we're really wanting to create a global movement for fostering local community and cooperative ownership, and the cooperative ownership of real estate, businesses, and other things. Because one of the core beliefs that I have is that people that are locally invested, time and money, one of the two, if they don't have money, time, let's be honest. I think most of us can agree that people that are locally invested in their communities feel different about that local community. So, does that answer your question, Alex?
No, not really, but I'm a very practical person, as someone from
I,
the other side of the Atlantic.
I'll
So maybe
take
what would
the
be
other
great
side
to
of
hear
that.
is like
I think that was
if
helpful.
if if I'm a local, whoever I'm in some locality that WeOwn is in, and I join one of your clubs, what can I expect to be able to do and to get from it? So in a very sort of practical sense, what are the tools that are at my disposal effectively?
Yeah, and one of the things that's worth mentioning, and let me actually just bounce over here to our GitHub. I actually created a decent network diagram here. I actually have this tab open. Let me just bring this tab over here. So the way, because one of the things that's worth mentioning with our collaboration with PizzaDAO around We Own Pizza Club, um, PizzaDAO is obviously a global coordination effort, primarily surrounding Global Pizza Party, which was just last week. So, one of the things with moving towards this hyperlocal situation, we don't anticipate having enough traction in any certain area. Like Russell and I are based in Colorado, but one of the things that we really want to do is to prove out this investment club on a national basis, and whether we allow people that are not in the US to onboard. But this is a user journey that I created here. I'll throw this in chat for you all. This is really how that we're looking to onboard people into the WeOwn.Network ecosystem. And I just updated this the other day with WeOwn AI agency. So like imagine a person like myself putting a social ad, and then somebody sees an ad, they register for a webinar, they join the webinar, they participate, answer some questions, and they're like, hey, this sounds like something, $47 a year. And then one of the big benefits of that is that we're going to provide a 2-hour educational component, 1.5 hours, an IRL session. And this is where we're really looking to onboard people. And the goal with that is to onboard people into our ecosystem. Now, one of the benefits that we're going to be providing is access to an investment club. And this is where, with the We Own Pizza Club, we're looking to create a token gated mechanism where a rare pizza NFT holder or a We Own network member can onboard into We Own Pizza Club. And then one of the benefits that we will do there, like we're creating a cooperative housing model that we're calling We Own Academy, where we're looking, because like let's be honest, a lot of people here in the US, and it's probably that way in desirable cities across the planet, home ownership is increasingly or completely out of reach for people. Like the average home here in Colorado is 500, 600,000, at least in the Denver area. So this is where the mechanism for people to transition from a rental situation like an apartment into a cooperative ownership and start climbing up the equity ladder. That's really what we're looking to architect, where somebody can participate in an investment club, contribute $100 a month that's towards an investment, start building equity, learning education, how to financial literacy, this we
So
own Go ahead,
Yeah. So to
Alex.
understand the benefits that I get as a member effectively is education. Just access to whether that's a boot camp, an in-person boot camp, or maybe some other forms of education that you're providing, correct?
Yeah, and well, not only that, but
Mhm.
like this will be the best I envision ROI for investing into P token assets. P token assets is our ecosystem brand, basically property token, P token. So this will be like there's costs of raising capital. With the peer-to-peer method of the investment club, we're going to be removing these additional costs, whether like regulation crowdfunding, like WeFunder, they normally charge regulation crowdfunding platforms normally charge 5 to 7%.
Yeah.
With our P token associates, eventually we're going to be a broker dealer. We're going to have 3% for any capital raised through a P token associate. And with our investment club, we're wanting that to be zero. So the opportunity for people to get the best access to P token assets and get the best return through this peer-to-peer mechanism is really the most tangible benefit.
So education one, two, crowdfunding, and crowdfunding, you can sort of segment that through the lens of how much of a member are you, and sort of the different tiers of that membership are based on P token. So how much of the P token I own, is that correct?
Yeah, so P token is just going to be the digital representation to fractionalized ownership in like a local cooperative house or a local business. Like one of the solutions that we're wanting to provide is employee ownership, tokenized employee ownership
Hmm.
models. So we want to change the dynamics around because another thing, like the other value of businesses or of the investment club, you think about like somebody that is living and working in their local community, they would best also know, hey, this is a gap in our community, or yeah, this isn't really a good idea. Nobody's going to want to do that here in our local community. So just peer reviewing what's really
Hmm.
needed and finding the best deal flow for local communities that they can be locally invested in as well.
Okay. And so would the idea be that you have one big We Own club, or you
No,
want to
you
have
can't.
segmented small clubs
There's a limit.
localized?
An investment club has to be less than 100 people. Once it's over
Yeah.
that, then it's a different sort of financial mechanism. And that's one of the things that I really think will be easy. Like you think about as we continue to grow, this We Own Pizza Club could potentially, like, we're going to start it off at $100 contribution on a monthly basis, and then the opportunity to fork, like, I'm going to be very intentional about growing onboarding people here in Colorado. So I could very easily see the opportunity to fork and create a We Own Club, Investment Club of Colorado, or
Mhm.
like North Denver, or Boulder, or Colorado Springs as we continue to
Got
get
it.
traction. And, this is where if people want to participate in more than one investment club, that's their choice. And the main requirement to start a minimum viable investment club is 3 people, and that's because checks the box president, secretary, and treasurer, which are the key roles of a minimum viable unincorporated nonprofit association in most states.
Okay. So
So
would
I
you
have a
want to start
question.
with like a, oh,
I was gonna just say, what's the relationship between kind of like the umbrella We Own Pizza Club to the individual localized clubs, investment clubs?
There won't be there's not any umbrella. So what we're looking to do with iLOCAL.fyi is create a playbook for how that these investment clubs, like a
mhm.
template to make it like, a copy and paste dynamic where uh because it takes a lot of effort to organize people, and the easier that we can do as far as just having a turnkey proven playbook for somebody that says, hey, I've got me, myself, and a couple friends, we want to start a club in our own local community. We want to have a turnkey playbook that they can do, and that's really the goal with iLocal FYI, is to create the playbook and then bring the tech stack that's pretty turnkey template, crank it out, and then they can just like organize and have the conversations and have fun. I mean, that goes back to the Belg culture. If people have so much ADD in 2025. You know, if they're not having fun, it's probably like I have enough autonomy where if I don't have fun, I choose not to do it myself. So
Cool. All right,
Cool.
Alex, sorry, go ahead. I just wanted to understand if there was a relationship there, but it sounds like it's just like a forking mechanism for and we'll start with this kind of I won't call it an umbrella organization, but we'll start with the
EOG.
We Own Investment Club 1.0.
yeah, and if you do want to roll it up to iLocal, like iLocal could be because we're planning for iLocal to be a decentralized, unincorporated nonprofit association that we will likely seek 501(c)(4) status with iLocal so that we can, you know, do the lobbying or whatever if some regulations in a particular state here in the US are unfavorable. So iLOCAL.fyi is going to be the mothership for fostering local community and cooperative ownership.
Okay.
Got it. Okay, so that was a useful question as well, because it was kind of where I was going anyway in terms of relationship between We Own and the local We Owns or I communities. So initially the one that you would be setting up just fully just across the whole of the US, is that the idea? Or you want to somehow limit it to a specific locality?
For We Own Pizza Club, we're wanting it to be we may limit it to just be US citizens, but it won't
Mhm.
be any more limited than that. One of the
Got it.
things that's worth mentioning is we are planning to do a KYC process using Persona with Persona. They have and they're favorable. We had a conversation with them. So this is just some of the workflow that's worth mentioning. As
You
far
know,
as
just Yonks, I would I would suggest you try it out IRL, like, and not trust anything you see, because we had a really wonderful, and I'm being facetious, experience with them doing KYC. So just
yeah,
yeah.
let's take that conversation offline because we had looked at Synapse and Synapse is going bust. So that was another solution that we actually cut a check for here earlier in 2025, and I got word that they're winding down. So
Cello's got kind of a cool new identity solution called self.xyz. Probably a little bit different in terms of like KYC, but maybe check that out too. But again, perhaps
cool.
a something that we can take offline. Uh,
Sounds great.
one
So yeah,
question.
so to my
Oh, go ahead,
sorry,
Alex. Go
I
ahead.
didn't
Go
even
ahead.
ask the question. And the question I did want to ask was around crowdfunding. Crowdfunding would be based, so you're saying there's fractional ownership based on this P token. That P token is generated from the $100 that I give in every month, or is that
No,
a separate thing?
yeah, so P Token is quite simply a brand. If you go to ptokenassets.com, it redirects here. So P Token is a brand that we're going through the USPTO trademark process of. So this is where we want to token all the things, and all the things that we token will be a P token to kind of like package it in a different lens. If you go to ptoken.id, this is one of the ways this redirects to a notion. So these are entities that we've spun up already that are P token assets that are in different stages of development. So
Is this sort
like,
of like what Native was doing earlier on?
what was that again, Russell?
Is this sort of like what Native was doing? It would use their native token and then build other tokens on top of it using native?
I have no don't know anything about
Hmm.
native. This is a framework that we're building surrounding proliferation of tokenized real world assets. So P Token is a brand. The investment club is where we really envision, because you think about getting a peer-reviewed process that doesn't cost us anything, that we can accomplish a goal for them submitting, because the real goal that we have is to help people move into cooperative ownership out of the legacy landlord rental situation where we can, you know, where people that love what we're doing say, hey, I want to be I want to spin up a cooperative ownership housing situation. We have a couple brands. Not going to unpack that because that's really out of scope of the conversation here today.
Yeah.
But you did
So
ask go ahead, Alex.
no. I think you're going to answer the question.
Yeah, so you how does it make money for us? So this is where like iLOCAL.fyi, really think of that as our ecosystem public goods because we're building economic incentives in place. Like one of the things, and let me see here on the Telegram. So here is and I'll bring this on screen after I get to the. So here is the 3Win social telegram. And and I don't know how well that everybody can see this, but this is where that we're building 4 tiers of a participation ladder. So like we own Academy, we own Associates, P Token Associates. So each of these opportunities have different mechanisms for people. So throughout our entire ecosystem, and just going back real quick to the right here, the American Dream Campaign. So, like the people that facilitate the American Dream Campaign, we're having a 50% two-tier affiliate program, 35% to the first tier, 15% to the first tier, and that's going to be a $47 annual membership, and that's going to be a recurring affiliate compensation model. So the opportunity for us to get really great at onboarding people and then providing value, and I don't believe at a $47 a year, that's less than $4 a month. The mode of belief that I'm operating in, you don't have to provide too much value for people to renew that on an annual basis. So we're up and down the entire economic stack. And then like over here, P token assets. My wife, Tyler, she's P token associate #1. She's real estate licensed. She's securities licensed because one of the big game changers surrounding real estate is that we're going to be through P token assets transitioning real estate assets into a P token asset, which it won't really look and be traded like a traditional real estate asset any longer. It's really going to be a financial instrument as a P token asset, and the opportunity to compensate securities licensed professionals, P token associates as financial professionals where they can earn part of the 3% if they onboard investors into that, but then also with P token exchange that we have on the roadmap for June 26, 26, of whenever that P token asset is exchanged, where we can impose like a 5% transaction fee and provide a slice of revenue of that transaction fee to the securities license professionals. So we have up and down the entire ecosystem, economic incentives where we don't have to make money on the investment club. That's our mechanism for decentralizing the deal flow for the proliferation of P token assets.
Got it. So maybe answer another question that's just cropped up for me. So you said earlier, I heard you said $100 monthly contribution, but here you're saying there's a $47 yearly contribution. Are these for two different things?
So the $47 a year is a membership fee for WeOwn.Network, and that goes to support the ecosystem. The $100 contribution is an investment contribution and not a participation fee. So that's where that $100 a month is for the benefit of wealth accumulation for the individual making that investment club contribution.
So $100 a month goes straight into crowdfunding, effectively. It goes into investments.
It goes into the investment club, where whenever the investment club decides, hey, this is going to be a deal that we're going to use, and then what will happen is when that asset gets tokenized, and then that will be flow back to based upon, like, let's say you contributed.
What happens to that $100 when I put it in?
Yeah, so that will go towards whatever that will turn into a P token asset that will be split up based upon whatever the percentage of your, the slice of the share for that particular asset that the club makes a decision to invest in at that particular moment in time.
And is that kind of the entry amount? Is there others where like if I wanted to put in 1,000 and then I get, 10 times as many P tokens, is that the expectation?
Yeah, the 100 is the minimum, and I haven't looked at all of the. I don't think that there's really any ceiling because the SEC literally has very little guidance as far as investment clubs. It's literally like one or two pager that's been there that hasn't really been updated that much in the 21st century. But yeah, the real goal is to have this be a mechanism. And one of the other things that we're very excited about with my IRA.fund, one of the things that we've put forward is that we're planning to do a club edition where when we get all of the things figured out from a compliance standpoint where we can facilitate being the custodian of a self-directed IRA. This is the other mechanism where we're really wanting a club edition where these club contributions can go into the tax advantaged individual retirement arrangement here that the US is carved out through the IRS.
Okay. We keep digging and we keep finding new products that you're creating. So my
Yeah.
It's
IRA.
unlimited. It's unlimited in my world. You have no idea.
Yeah, no. I
Got it,
mean,
got it,
you
got it.
definitely have done so much diligence on this, and it's impressive that like you really are creating a way that people can get out of this extractive command and control kind of poverty loop. I think that our mission is similar in the fact that we are trying to create equitable access. In our case, it's really giving people equitable access to Web3 to get out of the kind of Web2 command and control, corporate owned and operated ecosystems in the digital space and how they relate to kind of the URL, IRL Venn diagram. So I can definitely see how this is, all related. I think obviously the details here are like how we actually activate and get the user to be able to participate in a tokenized ecosystem that is the foundation of what you want to create and provide. One question around Una versus kind of Duna. Obviously, like Unas exist, across the board, and Dunas are kind of fairly new, at least introduced into Wyoming. And I actually don't know where they're being adopted elsewhere. Is there any expectation of those different structures being part of what you're doing? I'm just trying to get kind of a handle on like how these things are kind of classified.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So iLOCAL.fyi, we absolutely have on our roadmap to become a Duna for the proliferation, and we will also likely seek 501c4 status so that we can work towards changing unfavorable regulations in particular states around the proliferation of peak token assets. So we've got a fairly decent, easy to unpack tokenomics around my IRA.fund, where with the capital that we're planning to raise with that will actually funnel through to various Dunas within our ecosystem, iLocal, FYI. P token assets will also become a Duna, and under that, there will be cooperative associations. I am a huge fan of Colorado's Limited Cooperative Association, and even more so, big fan of the Public Benefit Corporation, where we can become a certified B Corp or a pending B Corp on that journey. So yeah, we've and I'll forward the tokenomics model in our side conversation there so that you all can look at that because would love to get some feedback. But this is one of the things that I think is pretty unique about our model because most times projects in Web3 don't normally talk about public goods funding until after the token generating event. And this is where we're specifically looking to do that before the token generating event with our go-to-market strategy.
Okay. Yeah, and one of the reasons that I asked that question is also because of what the barrier of entry for a local investment club would be? Like, would they need to register as, fill in the blank in order to participate in this system? And just getting kind of a sense of like what the ramp up would be for a local community. Like, for instance, I'm in California, right? And like there's actually a number of different parallel conversations I'm having with one of our customers, in fact, VDAO, which is a regenerative network state, and they're trying to create a playbook around property ownership, which is very similar. And I've been talking to them for probably a year about some of this stuff. So it's pretty similar, but it's the concept of like creating like self-sustaining property. So, solar panels, harvesting rainwater, like all of these things that like, irrigate a food forest garden, for a community. And then there is participation from the community, both in labor and cost and organization efforts and things like that. So like I guess my point is like I think that there's a lot of different organizations that want something like this, and the framework that you're laying out here I think is pretty specific and great in that way. But like it's a great playbook for other people to get involved, whether they call it an investment club or regenerative network state. It's kind of the same end goal, right? So you could actually bring other people along in this journey that are doing similar things in different quote verticals. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's the real vision around iLOCAL.fyi is to have a composable, like We Own Network is our ecosystem brand, but iLOCAL.fyi, we're really wanting to create the playbooks where, and love that you brought up VDAO, love what VDAO is doing. I'm a huge proponent, regularly participate in the network state conversations with my friends in Boulder, and I really view that we're borrowing a good portion of the network state with our go-to-market strategy. And I actually went through the onboarding process using Unicorn for VDAO as well. So participated and would love to collaborate with them, and had some great conversations with Ben Milkmoney over at VDAO. He's actually based in Minneapolis, and the opportunity for us, like one of the things that Minneapolis, Twin Cities, shares with Colorado, Denver area is Xcel Energy. And one of the things that they share is their disdain towards Xcel Energy. And we absolutely want to do this number to Xcel Energy with community solar, where we can create community owned and operated distributed energy resources, because that's one of the things that I will always bet the proverbial farm on. You put 100 Americans in the room, every single one of them is addicted to energy at the utmost level. If their phone's dead, it's like a 911 emergency almost.
Yeah, they're actually creating a product that is gonna, they have it actually underway. I'm kind of using it. It's very early stages in terms of the software that they're creating, but it's basically like tracking the solar that you're harvesting. And we're getting way off track here, so I do want to get back on track with the remaining time that we have. But yeah, there's a lot of different things that are parallel here and overlap. Just with that, within my immediate purview. Like there's others that I could talk about too. But like that's why I think it's really good to kind of go through this step by step and walk people through it. And then, of course, useful for us if we are going to be, an infrastructure provider and creating the account structure that is going to allow people to get onboarded into this whole process. I don't know if that's a good kind of transition into kind of a quick product demo on our side, and we can use an example. We could use VDAO, but we also obviously were the provider for ETH Denver, which I think is perhaps a little more robust in terms of the feature sets and things like that they have in there, and the build out that we did for them. And we could walk through that in relation to what you're looking to do with the investment club. And I don't know if that's kind of where we want to go from here. And I also want to be respectful of time here because I think we are technically at time. Oh yeah, we're a little past time, and I actually do have a hard out in 5 minutes, so we could jump through this demo really quickly if that would be useful for you and your audience.
Yeah, dude, I stopped the share on my end, so feel free to fire up and go through whatever you'd like in the time that you have there, Gardner.
Yeah, and I know that you kind of seen some of this in the past, but I think it'd be useful for everybody to recognize that like it would be a branded account. Like again, this is the ETH Denver version of it. And for those that actually went to ETH Denver this year, and for those that maybe perhaps didn't, it's, a Web3 event. Am I sharing the right screen here? Is it sharing? Can you see ETH Denver in this
I do,
account creation?
yes.
Okay, great.
Connecting.
So it's both, it's an IRL event where both Web3 OGs and Web2 noobs are attending, and they would create a branded account. This would be a WeOwn branded account. In this case, a token is being sent. It could be a P token just to kind of get people a sense of like, they get 5 P tokens to sign up. They create a username. Everybody understands usernames. That username resolves in a browser. They can go to, their account, and it is also an address. Now, for those, that are aware of ENS addresses, this is a subdomain. We've tokenized ethdenver.com. In this case, we could tokenize whatever top level domain you would like. And then there's a wallet that comes along with it with only the assets that they want incorporated and associated with it. In this case, the Spork token, which we just talked about, it would be the P token. And if you wanted to include USDC, what I'll do now is I'll go to the actual kind of like back end. So this is, Jason, what you would be, or an admin of your organization would be creating, because this is where the actual dApps or apps that you want to incorporate. Oh, wait, sorry, I'm in the staging. Let me go to the production here. And it could be, from Web2 apps of like, hey, join or book a call with me, or we're setting up an event, click on. So you could add all of these different dApps, and within the ecosystem for ETH Denver, for instance, they have activated some of these dApps because the goal is really engagement, right? So I'm going to actually sign into my ETH Denver account now. And again, I would just be using my email address to sign into my WeOwn account, and then you'll see the different dApps that they have. And so it's kind of like a Web3 enabled link tree. And you want everybody to come into this, and you want them to know exactly what they should be doing. So again, you have this grand, huge vision, but for a user, they may be completely lost in all of the details, and you really only want them to do 3 things. Now, in this case, there's a bunch of different things that you can do with ETH Denver, and this has changed since the event, right? There'd be different actions that you would want your community to take. And I'm just going to go through kind of the simplest one to give a sense of kind of how this operates. This is a game, right? It's like I now have this subdomain and I can play an on-chain game, but as a Web2 member, I don't necessarily even know what on-chain means. I don't care. I just want to play this game. So in this case, because you get a wallet with your account, think of it like an airlines program where you get a wallet with an account, but that's really your like United account. It's your Delta account. But oh yes, there's this way of being able to get an understanding or an organization of what you do in real life and how that's translated in let's say a points or a tokenized form. Anyway, that's kind of what we're doing. In case I get to play this game, and then all of the winnings that I may get, or the scoreboard is on chain, right? So the same thing is true if you had an investment club and you're perhaps getting some dividends or residuals, and I don't know kind of how we would classify that, of course. I don't want to speak out of turn in terms of buzzwords for any wonks out there. But I do want to just like note that like in this case, Hedgie is a dApp that they're incorporating, and you would be able to just go to see if you're let me see if I don't think I think I actually collected some rewards from this, but I would check to see if I was eligible for any rewards, in this case using the Hedgie dApp, and I would go through that process. And so in this case, you would be able to incorporate any of these dApps. Let's say Snapshot was another one where you want people to do on-chain voting. Or you have a live stream coming up and you want people to be able to go to their account and either sign up for the live stream. So you would just send out the URL, the top level URL, so app.weown.io or like whatever it might be. And people will be able to log into their account and then take actions within this account. And then if there, for instance, was some financial, expectation, whether it was them paying the 47 or the 100, they could even onboard and use their credit card, and then it could convert to USDC or it convert to P token, and they would be able to just purchase very simply through this whole process. And even, there could be membership tiers, and they could get an NFT for any of those purchases that is provable, in their wallet. And then you are able to use either our application or other applications to token gate certain access, perhaps even to some of these different dApps or events and things like that. So I'm going to stop there. I'm 1 minute over on time, but I think I was able to get through that within 5 minutes pretty quickly. I know that was kind of like a speed round, but if you have any questions, let me see if I can push the next call that I have a few minutes.
No, that's very, very helpful, Gardner. And I'll take the conversation offline. The Gladiator game. I love playing collectible card games, but that's another conversation for another day.
Cool. I think we got through the majority of this, and I think that at least I feel like we got a really good understanding of what you are up to and the grand vision that you have. I don't know if there's anything else that we need to review right now. I think that was a pretty robust session for everybody.
Good. Well, and I'm not sure if I got the workflow where you'll get a replay via Fathom, but I'll make sure that I get that forwarded to you all too, so that you have that. And then the live stream is out there. Thank you for facilitating that, because looking forward to watching what you all build there with Unicorn, where it can really make it easier for onboarding people into the ownership that Web3 can provide.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jason. Appreciate you, everybody.
Yes, thanks everybody.